It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. There's a little controversy going on in the city of San Jose in the South Bay because police were called out to deal with a homeless person that was exposing himself, possibly touching himself, and trespassing on people's property. They came to respond, a scuffle ensued, and neighbors came out to film the end of that scuffle, which included a police officer punching this guy in the face. But there's a little more to the story than that, despite what some of the neighbors think. So let's find out what's going on in San Jose when the police got called out to deal with the crazy guy. For more, here is Cron 4 in the Bay Area.
When police officers in San Jose surrounded a man and an officer repeatedly punched this person while they were on the ground.
Cron 4's Leslie Gooden spoke with neighbors who witnessed the altercation between police and the unhoused man. And we do want to warn.
I can't stand that term. I'm so over it.
We do want to warn you that the video you're about to see is difficult to watch.
On Monday, neighbors off of Lee Avenue in Fruitville shot this video of several San Jose police officers detaining an unhoused man. But what shocked this neighborhood is one of the officers began to punch the man, who neighbors call Oscar, in the head.
Oh, good. They're friends with him. They're on a first-name basis with this guy who was prowling around the neighborhood.
Who neighbors call Oscar, in the head while he was on the ground. The woman seen walking up barefoot to check on Oscar is Jeanette Holsworth, who says this incident took place right in front of her home. And you can hear Oscar in this video, too.
Hey, we're here. We're here. Come on. Come on. You're on his back. I know there's a lot.
Of course, you know, the police are dealing with a very delicate situation. This guy's violent. He's fighting back. He's resisting arrest. And what they need is this neighbor to say, hey, don't do that. We know him.
He's fighting us again. I understand. I understand.
Well, I mean,
did you catch that? What does the SJPD officer say?
He's fighting us again. I understand.
He's biting us. That's got to be a real difficult situation. You know, police have to deal with people on the worst day of their lives, and sometimes violence ensues. I don't know what exactly you do if you're called out to deal with somebody who's prowling around a neighborhood. You try to question them, they run, you try to arrest them, and they start biting you. I don't want to get bit by a homeless guy. That might set me off.
He's fighting us again. I understand. I understand.
Well, I mean,
do you understand? Does he bite you regularly? This is how the zombie apocalypse starts, isn't it?
Well, I mean, even if it was a strong young white male or whatever, like whoever's under there, like I didn't want them to be.
What does that matter? This is the neighbor, by the way, the one that came out screaming, the one that shot the video that's going around everywhere. Her priorities are a little strange.
Even if it was a strong young white male or whatever, like whoever's under there, like I didn't want them to be, permanently harmed or killed. And that
they were trying to restrain the guy who was biting them. I don't know what you do. Maybe you have to punch him in the face at that point. I don't know. Chompy chomp.
And that was just the biggest concern to me in that moment.
She says she was putting her kids to bed around 8 p.m. when she heard loud noises in a helicopter. And once outside, she said the officer was hitting Oscar so hard she could hear the blows.
At that point, when he was being hit, he was completely restrained. He had 3 or 4 officers around him, holding him down. His hands were already behind his back. The
video that she shot, he's still kind of writhing around. And if he's using his mouth as a weapon, I don't know what you do there.
He was essentially a punching bag at that point. He was
this poor man, this poor unfortunate soul.
He was not an active threat.
According to San Jose police, they received a call from another neighbor about an indecent exposure incident involving an unhoused male.
So this woman is so concerned that her kids might see the police arresting somebody who's being violent, and she's not concerned at all for the reason the police came out, which was this guy was walking around the neighborhood, trespassing on people's property and exposing himself, and maybe doing worse than that.
Doing the most with his hands.
They say the reporting party was afraid as a suspect was trespassing on her property and was touching himself.
So are they supposed to not call the police because a situation might escalate there? A situation might get uncomfortable there? What exactly are we supposed to do?
Police say officers found the suspect laying on the sidewalk, but they say once the officers approached him, the suspect stood up and ran away. In a statement, San Jose police.
So this guy is walking around a neighborhood. He's got his pants down. He is, what do you say again?
Doing the most with his hands.
I mean, that's like the nicest way to say what he was doing. And the police come up to him, say, hey, what are you doing here? He runs away. So should they not chase him?
Not an active threat.
According to San Jose, in a statement, San Jose police went on to say, during the physical altercation, the suspect bit one of the officers. The suspect's act of resistance prompted a use of force incident to occur. Ultimately, the suspect was taken into custody and sustained minor injuries that did not require hospital evaluation.
Okay, so if they didn't even have to take him to the hospital, I don't know if I'm buying he was punched repeatedly over and over and over again, because the video, at least the parts of it that I've seen, don't really show that.
That did not require hospital evaluation. As a result of the incident, 3 officers were evaluated at a local hospital for minor injuries related to the struggle and later released.
Because, you know, they got bit. And who knows what kind of bacterial infection can come if those bites broke the skin.
Human bites like get infected more than dog bites, animal bites, anything. They're disgusting.
Don't worry, it's not that bad.
So in the video where the neighbor is recording because she's so concerned about this homeless sex offender, potentially, that the police officers are like, yeah, we were getting bit, and that's probably the worst bite you can get. Forget getting bit by a dog. Forget getting bit by a snake. I bet you most people would rather get bit by a dog or a snake than get bit by the homeless.
Human bites like get infected more than dog bites, animal bites, anything. They're disgusting.
Don't worry, it's not that bad.
About 3-4 officers holding Oscar down, which was the homeless man. And then
I love how they all know his first name, because this guy's such a gem of the neighborhood, walking around, trespassing on people's property, doing, what is it again?
Doing the most with his hands.
Yes, doing that. He's the true victim here.
holding Oscar down, which was the homeless man. And then another officer came in. He drove in fast, came out of the car, ran towards Oscar, and dove in with a flying knee to his head.
This is Dominic, who...
What is this, a wrestling match? I feel like the people who live in this neighborhood have a very specific viewpoint on this story.
The flying knee to his head.
This is Dominic, who also captured video from that night and says he did not see what led up to the officers detaining Oscar.
Could be the biting.
But says he needed to record what he was seeing.
Of course, because that is how our society works now. You see anything crazy, I got to film this. This is going to go on TikTok.
Gosh, how much does this actually happen? You know, like how much of this actually goes on that we're not aware of? And, you know, it needs to stop. We can do better. That's not how you detain someone.
San Jose.
Oh, well, maybe you should do it then. Okay, you've got a homeless person that is walking around a neighborhood, exposing himself and potentially touching himself. How do you handle that situation, buddy?
San Jose police say they are investigating.
Have I lost all my compassion for the homeless? I think I have. I have none.
San Jose police say they are investigating the use of force incident. Mayor Matt Mahan released a statement about the altercation, reading in part, use of force, even when justified, is hard to watch. Our proactive department investigates all use of force cases to ensure our officers follow the law. But the truth is, the suspect should have been indoors and in care, not exposing himself in a neighborhood.
Good on Matt Mahan. You know, if this happened in Los Angeles, Karen Bass would probably throw the police officers under the bus. If this happened in Oakland, even though they don't have a mayor right now, Shangy would have thrown them under the bus. Not sure how Daniel Lurie would handle this situation up in San Francisco. But Matt Mahan gives a very real response to this. Use of force incidents are rough, even when they're justified. Like, I don't know, these biting you. And maybe we didn't even have to send these people out there. These police officers didn't just happen upon this. They were called. Someone called 911 because this creep was walking around doing unspeakable things to himself in front of neighbors.
Doing the most with his hands.
We have one of the best police departments in the country.
Matt Mahan stood up for his police officers in a moment where a lot of elected officials would have been like, this is unconscionable. I can't believe this would happen to this poor, unfortunate soul.
If we're going to really sit around and say like what would and wouldn't have happened if this man had been in housing, you know, I hear the mayor's statement, and what I hear is this man wouldn't have been beaten by police if he wasn't on our streets.
Maybe we don't respond if she calls for service.
And I think that just sets a really dangerous precedent.
Jeanette tells me
Because, of course, this man is the victim in this story. It doesn't seem to care at all about why the police were called. She knows this guy on a first-name basis. He's a good guy.
And I think that just sets a really dangerous precedent.
Jeanette tells me other community groups and other county departments have been trying to get in contact with Oscar, but have been unsuccessful. San Jose police say he was
You know, if this guy's such a pillar of your community, why don't you let him live with you and your small children?
San Jose police say he was transported and booked into the Santa Clara County Jail for indecent exposure, resisting arrest, and battery on an officer. Leslie Gooden, KRON 4 News.
But the story doesn't end there, because just the next day we got an update on what happened in San Jose with good old Oscar, that poor, unfortunate homeless man who got hit by police after he bit them after they were called out because he was prowling around the neighborhood exposing himself. And the update's a little wild.
This week, we told you about a homeless man pinned to the ground by San Jose police and punched repeatedly in the head. Police say he was charged with indecent exposure, resisting arrest, battery of an officer.
That's the biting.
But today we're being told the man has been released from county jail and his charges have been cleared.
What? How exactly does that work out? Oh, I get it. Because of the public outrage of one side of the story with this video, well, now we got to let this guy get off.
Released from
that.
Released from county jail, and his charges have been cleared. KRON 4's Jack Momad has the update.
It's the video causing outrage throughout the South Bay. Jeanette Holsworth was seen on video trying to get San Jose police to get off this unhoused man, who is named Oscar,
who bit the officers.
We're here. Come on. Come on. You're on his back. I know there's a lot.
She says police did not need to restrain the individual like that, despite police saying they were called out there for an indecent...
I love how many people love to tell these officers how to do their job.
For an indecent exposure report.
You know, it's very frustrating, and it's frightening, I think, because, you know, as a mom, like, who do I call when my kids are in trouble?
Apparently she's not frightened by the fact that this guy was walking around her neighborhood with it out. That didn't bother her.
You know, am a witness in this situation and can't even trust the people who are involved.
Holsworth is even more frustrated, adding that she got in contact with Oscar's family, who was able to be reunited with Oscar. The family told her over the phone Oscar was released from jail with all of his charges lifted.
This is weird. Also, she knew the family? What's going on here?
Holsworth says she is now even further questioning why police had to pin him to the ground and beat him over the head repeatedly.
Biting. Do I have to explain that any further? The guy was biting the police.
They don't have the things to hold on to it.
Who knows what's been in that mouth?
They don't have the things to hold on to it, to keep them in custody. That it also means there really wasn't a lot of reason to say, publicly that all of those things happened when they didn't.
So now she's denying that, the woman called 911 because of what she witnessed? Police would not have been on the scene if the neighbor, who we haven't heard from in this story, didn't witness this man on her property exposing himself and
doing the most with his hands.
But again, he's the true victim here.
Oscar's case is nothing new for this homeless advocate, donned in black and masked, self-proclaimed San Jose Batman.
What? Okay. So now we need to get an expert opinion on this story. So we're going to a man who dresses up in a cape and mask and calls himself San Jose Batman, the advocate for the homeless.
Self-proclaimed San Jose Batman. He dresses like this to raise awareness, he says, to the unhoused community in the South Bay.
I don't know. I feel like the actual Batman, if he would have seen this guy prowling around the neighborhood, probably would have clocked him.
He dresses like this to raise awareness, he says, to the unhoused community in the South Bay.
I'm just very confused as
homeless advocates are some of the worst people out there. There, I said it.
I'm just very confused as to why he was pinned down in the first place. Like, if you're not going to charge him with anything, what the hell?
San Jose
He either bit the officers or he didn't bite the officers. I feel like that's pretty provable. You have to go on the report of what else he was charged with doing. He did run from the police, which tells you he probably did have his pants down. Doing what else?
What the hell?
San Jose Batman says people just like Oscar who have negative run-ins with city services such as law enforcement will be less likely to trust the city in the future.
So what exactly do you want to have happen here? What does Jeanette, the neighbor, want to have happen here? What does San Jose Batman want to have happen here? Don't have the cops come out?
He is still going to be out here. He is still going to be on the street. And that is not going to encourage him to take mental health services from city employees.
This guy really should not be getting airtime. And I think the only reason he is because he calls himself San Jose Batman.
We reached out to the San Jose Police Department to find out any more details or any updates to their investigation into their own officers who were involved in that arrest, seeing that Oscar was released and not charged with anything. They told us that they wouldn't be able to get back to us until Monday. And as San Jose Batman wheels supplies to the encampments near Guadalupe River.
Normal stuff.
This is the kind of stuff in Fremont they're trying to criminalize. Because this guy encourages encampments. Because I'm going to keep you fed. I'm going to keep you clothed. I'm going to keep you plenty of drink. And you can stay in this encampment and do all the drugs you want.
San Jose Batman wheels supplies to the encampments near Guadalupe River.
Normal stuff. Basic food, water. Some socks.
He is planning ahead for a protest outside City Hall next week, protesting the mayor's proposal to penalize homeless people who refuse shelter.
Of course, the homeless advocates are jumping on this because last week, Matt Mahan said, we're going to start arresting the homeless that refuse services. Matt Mahan, do not back down. So far, he hasn't shown that he would. He shows he has a backbone. And he even had these cops' backs on when this whole thing blew up.
Protesting the mayor's proposal to penalize homeless people who refuse shelter, even to the point of arresting them.
What it will accomplish is effectively, it'll push people away from wanting to accept services if they are threatened to.
He says a firsthand example.
Yeah, but they're not accepting the services now. So we're just supposed to beg and beg and beg and beg and beg and beg and beg. And every time they overdose, we revive them with Narcan. And then maybe one day they'll change their mind.
From wanting to accept services if they are threatened to.
He says a firsthand example of this is what we saw with Oscar. In San Jose, Jack Molman, Cron 4 News.
There's the insanity going out of San Jose. And the homeless advocates and the neighbors whose priorities are all out of whack are getting way too much voice in this story. I want to hear the officer's side. I want to see the actual body cam, not just a edited video from cell phones that doesn't exactly describe what happened here. Maybe the cops went too far, but maybe not. I don't know how I'd react if a homeless person bit me. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you ever miss an episode of this show, it's real easy to get the podcast of it. Go to KABC.com/newsblitz or search for the KABC News Blitz or Randy Wang anywhere you get your podcasts. If there's anywhere you get your podcast that you can't find the News Blitz, email me at randykabc@gmail.com and we'll try to fix that. Hey, do I have something exciting for you? 790 KABC welcomes Bullet for My Valentine. They're playing at the YouTube Theater on April 11th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Well, public safety will be priority one in the state of California for some time, but there were some notable improvements in 2024. Crime numbers for 2024 in Los Angeles are looking a little better. The new police chief is doing a good job despite the mayor. And statewide, Californians voted overwhelmingly for Proposition 36. That was supposed to take some of the insanity that we decided to pass with Prop 47 in 2014 and fix it. For instance, maybe instead of you can get charged with a misdemeanor every single time you're caught for possession of drugs, how about your third time you have to go to prison on a felony unless you want to get treatment? And also important, charging fentanyl dealers with murder after they've already been told their pills can kill somebody. Important. And also retail theft. Retail theft was probably one of the bigger driving forces. All of the smash and grab videos that you see, all the rampant shoplifting was a driver behind people voting yes on Prop 36, because with Prop 36, it doesn't matter how much you steal, on your third misdemeanor charge, automatically bumped up to a felony. And what do you know? We have one of our first cases that is now going through the court system with the district attorney in San Francisco, Brooke Jenkins, charging a repeat thief under Prop 36. For more, here's KGO.
Marco Smith Pequeño has been charged with several organized retail theft incidents, specifically targeting this Walgreens in San Francisco's Noe Valley neighborhood, twice in a row.
They did a sort of a flash mob style shoplifting where they enter the store in large numbers, overwhelm the staff, and run out with products.
I mean, you could overwhelm the staff with two people. What's the most amount of employees you've ever seen working at a Walgreens? 3?
Smith Pequeño of Pittsburgh has several prior incidents dating back to 2018 in Contra Costa County.
Oh boy, this guy's been all over the state.
Including petty theft and grand theft charges, as well as alcohol-related reckless driving. Because of those prior offenses, he has been charged with a felony under Proposition 36. The measure was approved by voters last year, fed up with repeat robberies at local stores.
Because you'd just get a ticket and nothing would happen to you. Even if you didn't appear for court, you get another ticket. It was insanity. And the people realized it was insanity, and that thing passed by a huge margin.
He was supposed to be in jail while awaiting trial for the Walgreens incidents, but was released last Friday by Judge Geraldo Sandoval.
Here we go. See, this is another issue. While there are certain things that we can do that will definitely help public safety, including bolstering our police force, allowing them to do their jobs, having prosecutors that actually want to try cases. In San Francisco, let's not forget, in the COVID times, when George Gascon left that office to go down to Los Angeles and destroy here, he had already destroyed up there, and he had an acolyte named Chesa Boudin, who was even more extreme than him, that got that job, and he got recalled. Brooke Jenkins got in. So now, in San Francisco, you have a new mayor who wants the police to do their job. London Bree did too, but only halfway into her term. But still, she should get credit for that half. And you get a prosecutor that wants to do their job. But there's one more stool. And part of the problem that we're seeing in places like San Francisco and Los Angeles as well is even if you've got the right laws on the books, even if you got the prosecutors that are willing to bring the charges, the police that are able to make the arrests, the judges can still let them off with a slap on the wrist.
He was supposed to be in jail while awaiting trial for the Walgreens incidents, but was released last Friday by Judge Geraldo Sandoval, which caused District Attorney Brooke Jenkins to once again criticize some judges for being too lenient.
It is always,
of course, this guy's totally learned his lesson.
It is always in the court's hands to make that decision. And so we did everything that we could in this case, and we'll do everything that we can going forward. But it is incumbent upon the judges to be responsible and to take public safety into account.
When midterm elections come up, when local elections come up, you got to really pay attention to who's running for judge, because these are very important positions. Once you're elected, you might be able to stay in there for a very long time. Such judge positions are appointed as well. But we're talking here about elected judges that are the ultimate decider if somebody has to stay in jail while awaiting trial or they're back out on the streets to reoffend.
Smith Pequeño did make an appearance today and has agreed to be supervised by the court while he awaits his trial. In the meantime, police now have a patrol car in front of the Noe Valley Walgreens, which has been targeted many times before.
Of course.
Last Monday, Walgreens installed a camera in front of the store and upgraded their cameras inside to make it easier for police to identify anyone committing a crime.
Now, that's the right approach. I'm glad to see Walgreens doing that. Walgreens may have also helped finance Prop 36. This is a better response than, well, there's nothing we can do about the stealing, so we're going to lock up the pizza. That's right. Walgreens in San Francisco took chains to the freezer section and locked up the frozen pizza and the ice cream. That's when you knew things were getting insane. When you have pharmacies that have everything under lock and key, people just aren't going to go. And that's not a sustainable business model. They're going to just give Jeff Bezos more money. And who really wants to do that if there's a convenient way to not give Jeff Bezos more money?
That makes arrests much easier to make, identifications easier to make, and cases much more straightforward for the district attorney.
So we'll follow this case because Brooke Jenkins is bringing this guy with felony charges for being a repeat thief over and over and over again. But I want to find out if she successfully charges the case as a felony. If he's convicted as a felon, is he going to spend time in prison? Because even though Prop 36 was written with the best of intentions, there are a lot of roadblocks that California has set for itself, whether it be the judges, whether it be prison realignment, AB 109, the parole boards. I want to find out when this guy gets convicted of being a repeat thief, if he's actually going to spend time in prison. Because if they say, well, no, he's going to spend his sentence in jail, that doesn't work. If the jails are overcrowded, they'll let him out. We'll find out. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's St. Paddy's Day, everybody, on a Monday, which I guess means either people waited till today to celebrate it, or they're so hungover from partying down on Friday and Saturday and Sunday that they don't have it in them for Monday. But just in case they do, be extra careful on the roads out there. You're going to see a lot of law enforcement, CHP, making sure nobody is drinking and driving. And I really do not understand how that happens in this day and age. I got nothing against people wanting to go bar hopping on St. Paddy's Day. I've done it once myself. You know where I did it? I might be the only person who's ever done a pub crawl in downtown Burbank. This is about 10 years ago. And we just kind of went up and down San Fernando Boulevard there in the downtown Burbank area. Started at that place with the billiards. I think we were at Gordon Biersch. We ended up at Barney's Beanery after going to 4 or 5 different places. And, you know, it's a thing you can only really handle in your 20s. The beer with the green dye. And then my wife's longtime mentor came into town for the night, and she was meeting us at Barney's. She didn't drink beer. So she's like, I don't want to do a green beer. I don't want to do a green whiskey. Oh, boy. This was the day and age where we were doing picklebacks. I can't imagine doing shots now. I sip fancy tequila. I don't do any of this stuff. But my wife's friend said, hey, why don't we all do a tequila shot, and they could put green dye in that. It was pretty awful. But it was a fun time. But if you're going to go out tonight, be extra, extra careful out there because unfortunately, even with all the rideshare that's out there, even with all the easy ways to not have to drive if you're going to enjoy yourself, some people are still too foolish. And that's what they do. I'm not going out tonight. In fact, later on in the show, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I get a little meal plan going on. We'll get into it. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Here's something that's pretty interesting. In 20 years, it's very possible that California won't be the most populous state in the union. That's right. Texas is about to kick our butts. For more, here's CBS Sacramento.
Prices at the pump, a frustration for many here in California. Right now, the state average about $4.71, while in Texas, it's $2.69.
This happens. This is true. I was just in Dallas for a week and a half babysitting my niece. And when you drive around Texas and you see the gas pumps, it makes you think, why?
Quite significant. Nice. My dad loves to send me.
And, you know, for all the talk of California's got clean air standards, the air quality's worse in California than it is in Texas.
Quite significant. Nice. My dad loves to send me pictures of the gas pump back in Texas. Those lower prices, though, at least one of the reasons why in the next 2 decades, Texas is actually projected to have the largest population in the country, knocking California from the top spot.
Your reporter Claudette Stefanian is getting answers on what's behind that shift.
I lived in California for 44 years.
Marcia Penrod is one of many who decided to leave her home in California and make the move to Texas.
I hope you like humidity. I love Texas. I spend quite a lot of time in Texas because my wife's family is from there. I don't know how people live there in the summer. I don't get it.
Whatever you can afford to buy, they'll have it here.
Realtor.com compiled data on Texas's growth and highlighted these key takeaways. Over the past 10 years, Texas has added more residents than any other state.
They've also built more housing than many other states. Austin has built so much housing in the last couple of years, their rental prices are starting to go down because there's actually more vacancies.
Driving factors include cheaper housing, more jobs, and climate. Texas is the fastest growing state in the country.
Also, another thing you got to get used to if you're moving to Texas. Texas has some weird liquor laws. You cannot buy hard liquor at the grocery store. You have to go to a Specs.
Specifically, Texas is building more affordable housing than the rest of the country. Texas is seeing the fastest job growth in the U.S. More than 1 in 4 people shopping for homes are from Texas.
And there are some really good things about living in Texas, although it could be a double-edged sword. The food in Texas is so good. I'm pretty sure I gained 10 pounds the week I was there, although I've lost it since then. But it's really, 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 really tempting to have breakfast tacos every day in Texas. You get your Torchy's on, you get your Rusty Taco, you get your Taco Deli, you go to Velvet Taco for lunch, you go to Mi Cocina for happy hour. Oh, that's some of the best queso and ranch waters ever.
We sat down with real estate broker Trisha Rossi, who says there's no mistaking it. She's seeing the exodus with her own 2 eyes.
I mean, I went to a listing appointment last week going to Texas. Where are you going? Texas. Where are you going? Texas.
And the reason behind the trend isn't just about home buyers.
So another driver for Texas is tech, right? What we're seeing out of Silicon Valley.
A lot of them are moving to Austin.
Is now moving into the...
Although, to be fair, the traffic in Austin is getting to almost LA levels of hell.
Is now moving into the Austin area.
Fire insurance also playing a role in people's decision-making process.
You don't say. So we could bring Ricardo Lara for this too.
I mean, probably one of our first points of conversation when interviewing a buyer to talk about relocating to this area, the first thing we're talking about now is fire insurance. We never talked about that first before.
Despite the report.
I mean, that's a big factor. What's the point of buying a house if you cannot get insurance or the insurance payment is so expensive you can't afford to live there? And think about this. Texas has tornadoes and they can get insurance.
Rossi says Californians are still too loyal to the state, and that's what's keeping housing costs high.
I bought an investment.
That's the other thing. It's always the most fascinating part about any California exodus story. We've had a net loss of migration. We know we've lost a congressional seat, but the housing prices just keep going up and up and up and up and up. And if you are lucky enough to be a homeowner, which I am, great. If you're not a homeowner, you never will be. Hey, everyone out there, have a wonderful, safe St. Paddy's Day. I'm not going out tonight. I'm a married man, and it's a Monday. I don't feel like going pub crawling. I've done my Molly Malone's days. I've done my tilted kilt days. I'm past all that. Wife and I are going to sit at home, and you think, oh, maybe he's going to make corned beef and cabbage. We've done that enough. Kind of over that. We're going to try to make a shepherd's pie. That'll be kind of fun. Gets our potatoes in us. Have a wonderful, safe St. Paddy's Day, and we'll see you tomorrow. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most. Tell your friends about the show, download the podcast, and share it with them as well. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.